Looks like they are in the map draft now. Citadel's banned out quickly by MiniYeti, and Desert Ridge is going to be the ban from Bongo. And yeah, I always feel like these two players kind of like to mix it up a bit with the map, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah, I feel like Bongo tends to pick Citadel, so maybe that's why MiniYeti banged. Oh, Ocean Ring from MiniYeti. One of my favourite maps in Return of Rome, so I'm glad to see that. Oasis from Bongo. Inside Out is picked. That's kind of funny that you banned Citadels and then picked Inside Out, and then the OG Inland. I feel like, I think Carver was somewhat keeping track of what civs and stuff are being picked. It'd be interesting to see how often Inland's been picked. I feel like Inland gets picked in basically every single draft. And okay, into the civ draft as well. Bongo, very strong Oasis. I mean, both of these players are very strong on a lot of maps. So what have we got in the pool? We do have Ocean Ring, so it'll be interesting, and Inland, so it'll be interesting to see if Minoans get any hate in the bans, or it is just the more traditional Shang and Lakviat bans. Players do still place, yeah, and it is just exactly that. Players still placing quite high priority on the Lakviat. Obviously, they are just very scary in the early games still. And we'll see. These two picks are hidden. So, are we going to get Minoans? Yamato would be a good... Oh, yeah, it is Minoans matchup. I was going to say Yamato would be a good shout as well. It might be a good grab from Bongo as his second. And indeed it is. Palmyrans from Yeti. Quite early on. Carthaginians. A good shout for just a solid civ. Phoenicians are still on the table as well. Or does he try and grab an inside-out civ earlier on? It is the Phoenicians. I mean, unless the Palmyrans could be his inside-out civ, actually. Thinking about it. Carthaginians, of course. So yeah, a lot of the strong civs just getting picked up here. And now it leaves kind of like... Okay, Assyrians are still... I've said this many times, I just prefer the Hittites to the Assyrians. But yeah, MiniYeti grabbing those and Sumerians. And then we've got the Romans left, we've got the Persians that could be an okay pick for Oasis if you wanted to save the Yamato for somewhere else. The Egyptians are picked up, and it's just going to be what's left from the civs left over. Because I think the Romans are just a solid civ, like mentioned before, just the best of the rest civ. So I wouldn't mind seeing that as a sixth civ. It's just playable on most maps. Oh no, sorry, it's Bongo still to pick here. Chosen is the choice. That's interesting because a bit like the Assyrians, I just think Hittite better. For Chosen, I just feel like Romans are better. Okay, interesting last two picks. Yeah, so Romans not getting picked up and Persians getting completely ignored in this draft. We do only have one more open map. Persians actually could be okay on Ocean Ring because you tend to get those early elephants and your deer in straight away, and then you have that faster firing scout ship line, which can contend with a few civs. But I guess yeah, they've both got Minoans, Yamato, Minoans, Phoenicians. Those are probably going to be like the Inland Ocean Ring civs, I'd imagine. Like I said, MiniYeti does have Hittites for potential use on Inside Out. Obviously on Inside Out, you're a little bit more vulnerable to those rushes if you go for the fast Bronze Age, but it's still playable. And let's see if the players, yeah, just getting the lobby set up here. So yeah, like I said, I think this is the most sort of, well, Palmyrans being chosen early is a little bit of a difference, but I feel like this is the most sort of what I'd like to see drafts I've seen in a little while, because I've seen some sort of more crazier picks in the top picks from other drafts. But yeah, just Yamato, Minoans, Carthaginians, 3 very strong civs, especially when there's a water civ in the map pool, of course. The water map in the draft pool, I mean to say. But yeah, Shang and Lakviat being out obviously opens it up a little bit more for all the other civs. And like I said, just the Romans kind of missing out, and potentially Persians, which tend to get picked somewhat frequently, but like I said, I feel like they've dropping more and more out of favour as we see more games played. Howdy hey, Carver. Yeah, I think Palmy is like, I feel Palmyrans, like I said in my video, I feel like they're borderline broken. It's just that like you have to survive in the early game against some of the strong early game civs, but then you can take them to more closed maps and they're just, eco is just absolutely disgusting in the late game. So yeah, I think I wouldn't be picking it before Phoenicians, but you kind of picked it at the same time, because these, yeah, you can see here the 2 picks here. Yeah, 30% fast attacks can be pretty clutch as well. Just getting those pit attacks in a little bit quicker can sort of give you a bit of an edge in some military fights. Or just like the longer techs in the later game, getting those in a little bit faster, because there's a lot of techs in like the Iron Age that are really slow to research. Obviously in 1v1 setting you don't tend to get to the Iron Age as often, but when you're playing Palmyrans, that's kind of your game plan, is like the longer the game the better, right? You can do some early game shenanigans, but again, I think it's not a good idea against like the strong early game civs. You can, I think it's alright against some of the other weak Stone Age civs. You can try and do some like early up to Tool Age shenanigans. And yeah, it looks like both the players just making sure they've got the correct lobby settings. We've had a few mishaps with incorrect data mods, incorrect maps, incorrect victory settings. It's easily done. It's easily done. But yeah, like I said, I'm quite looking forward to seeing an Ocean Ring game, hopefully, because I don't think I've seen that map be played so far this tournament, and like I said, it is one of my favourite maps that got introduced in Return of Rome. Just because there's so many weird different ways you can play the map, and there's often quite hectic games on that. We've seen quite a few Oasis games. Obviously, Inland, like I said, is probably the most played map. And we do usually see an Inside Out or Citadel game at least once per draft as well. I don't know, some people think the more closed maps are a little bit more snoozy, but I like to see one of these 2 maps in a map draft, just because, like I said, I feel like there's a few civs that kind of really rely on it to be competitive. There's a few civs that like need to be able to get to that have a chance to get to that Bronze Age to really be able to shine. And it looks like now we do have the game launched, and I will now turn off my starting soon logo. Gets ourselves into game 1 of this best of 5 series, and away we go, boys and girls. So obviously first map, Highland, as per usual. I'll mute the music as we get ourselves into the game. And quite some interesting civ choices here. And as I've said in the past before, often it's a good strategy, if you're not entirely sure how you want to play each civ on each map, to just try and put like a throwaway civ out on Highlands to try and bait your opponent into using one of their stronger civs early. But kind of both players going for a civ a little bit further down their pecking order in the draft. So we see Cimmerians out from MiniYeti on the orange. Cimmerians one of my least favourite civs. And Assyrian's also my actual least favourite civ. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. So actually, interestingly, I think Assyrians can have a reasonably good time in this matchup, just because the Cimmerians are quite a slow, ponderous civ. And this map is still somewhat open, although MiniYeti's map's not... I mean, here and here's wallable. I guess it's a little bit more open on the sides. I guess you'd have to do a little bit more exploration to try and get fully shut up. The wood lines for Bongo a lot more tight on this side, but again, quite open on this right-hand side. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the game plan from each player. Because, like I said, neither of these civs too strong in the early game. So I'd be a little bit surprised to see... I didn't actually check who got the middle of the map there. Is that one? I think those are the two central elephants there from Yeti. I'm just trying to... That doesn't quite look center though. Sorry, I got a little bit distracted there. Bongo did get an extra elephant. But yeah, I'd be a little bit surprised if either of the players went for an all-in aggressive play, just because neither of these civs are the best at trying to pull that off. MiniYeti's probably going to want to try and just like get himself up to the Bronze Age, but then again, the Syrians kind of want to do that as well, so they can get to their stronger chariot archers. So this is going to be an interesting one. Yeah, that is true. That's kind of one thing I always forget about Cimmerians is you basically don't need to pay for that needlework upgrade, which saves you a little bit of resources. You just get a +1 attack as soon as you hit Tool Age. It makes you quite a lot more resilient to those early rushes. But yeah, like I said, I'd be surprised if either player goes for an early rush in this game. Yeah, we did nerf needlework down to be 35 HP. I think the HP part of the needlework isn't really what I consider it's the +1 attack's the most important part of that tech, in my opinion. Because if you have extra health, having more health doesn't make you able to fight back against those initial axes, right? You need that +1 attack. We did reduce the projectile speed of the bowman down already, so it has already been reduced. That's like one of the first changes we did. But actually, villagers, as I was speaking, I was a little bit distracted. Yeah, he has come forward. Obviously, his villagers are a lot more resistant, so this is not going to go well for Bongo, actually. All these villagers have been brought forward. I was a little bit distracted by the chat, so I apologise for that. And Bongo going to be cut off from his base here. And barracks is down, but no club has been made yet. Bongo has clicked up to the Tool Age. And I'm assuming Tool Age is in... Maybe it isn't, actually. No, it's not. I was going to say maybe it's in queue behind the villagers, but MiniYeti's just gone for an all-in on a bone rush. The lesser seen Cimmerian bone rush, I guess. Oh, villagers hidden inside. As I don't think a barracks has come out for Yeti. Wood eco is still villager. Jumps back inside. But yeah, Bongo needs to get himself a barracks down ASAP. But this is a bit of a weird all-in play from Yeti. Like I said, I was expecting it to be a bit of a slower game, so this caught me a little bit off guard, so apologies for that. And Yeti trying to bone down the house, and he may get it. But Tool Age is in now for Bongo. Oh, the wall didn't quite go up. These villagers are going to have to go for a run. Wall is in. But Bongo should be able to just research AXA and clear this up now. MiniYeti is on the 500 food now. And he does have another elephant spare. It's interesting that Granite went so deep there. And the wall doesn't quite go up in time to block off the villagers. Did we get needlework in from... no needlework in from Bongo just yet. Villagers trapping themselves in a corner. MiniYeti's now going to find that he's trapped in here. So that's a little bit what is going on. Well, this is not the early game I was anticipating. Like I said, I was expecting them to both... oh, MiniYeti's just... I think he's just like completely ruined himself by pinning it. I guess he thought it was open down here. Now he's just trapped 4 vills and a clubber in here. He is going to get to Tool Age. But yeah, this game being very unusual already. There's quite a lot. It's a little bit clustered in there. Bongo doesn't have the wood to build another pit though. But yeah, bowmen are coming out now, and battle axe coming in. I think, are these clubbers being sent forward? They are. Yeah, I guess Bongo is still. Yeah, he hasn't found his opponent's base yet, and Yeti just stuck at the edge of the map, and so effectively Yeti is down 4 vills now. So it's kind of like 23 to 19 at this point. So he went for the all-in play, but Bongo was already, well, had clicked to go to the Tool Age already at that point. So that once that's clicked, it's just a matter of just trying to damage control and lose as few villages as possible. And he did only lose the 1. Second archery is coming down. Axa does actually kill the house, and the armor is in. And I don't know if Bongo, yeah, Bongo still doesn't have needlework in. All the villagers being rushed back to the TC. It's a little bit of a mistake here from Bongo with needlework in, and now we go. It's very easy to fight that many axes back with this many villagers. He does have the bows, but this is a lot of idle time forced. A little bit clumsy from Bongo here. Yeti, meanwhile, just sorting himself out at home. And like I think he grabbed maybe 2 or 3, at least 2 elephants from the center, and that sort of helped him keep his food eco going for as long as it has been. Whereas, okay, Bongo has found another patch of berries now, but he's struggling a little bit for the food resource. He's probably going to have to start adding in. He does, yeah, have some wood, so he could have started adding in some farms. Hopefully he is aware that he doesn't need the market since the last community patch update. And Bongo was trying to work his way through the wall there, but gets fended off by the bowman. Farms are going up now. Okay, so that's good to see. And MiniYeti is floating a bit of wood himself, maybe just in preparation to switch onto those farms now that the hunt is getting closer to running out. Actually, that said, he's still got a fair few gazelle lying on the ground. Going to be a little bit of a battle over on the right-hand side of Bongo's base. And a lot of bows, but quite a few slingers already. No stone mining in, but they still obviously do a lot of damage with the bonus damage against those bows. Go for another play on the house hit. Villager maybe going to get taken down. Just about dodges out. The house is going to get taken down as well now. Quick war, doesn't quite go up in time, and the villager is going to get picked off. So Bongo in on the base now. And where are these slingers? Are they being pulled back? Bongo is going to be forced to move the eco. Oh, we found another elephant in the process, not too bad. New storage pit going up on the wood line there. And so, yeah, we had a pretty... Okay, woodline does get found. Deletes the storage pit. That was an interesting choice. And the villager's forced to run. And again, with the new community patch, the villagers are slightly faster than the axes now, so the villagers can just outrun them. And which is definitely helping out Yeti in this situation. Gives him enough time to bring back his army, but obviously all these villagers have been idle all this time, so still not great for the Yeti. Just having a quick check just to make sure there's no shenanigans going on this side of the map. But yeah, being a very strange early game. Let's have a look at the Did these villagers escape or did they get killed? There's only been 2 eco kills. I feel like they must have escaped at some point. Maybe a couple of those are there. So there was definitely 4 vills in there, so maybe a couple of them died. But there we go. Engage on the top of the map. Bongo basically just, yeah, we're going to be forced out, and he's being trapped in now. So the rest of this army is going to go into the ground. I'm going to quick wall this bit here. Ooh, okay, there's actually a small gap there. So these units are going to get chased around a little bit longer. Bongo does come forward with a bunch more bowmen. Singular axe is in the base. Shouldn't be too much of an issue though. And I'm going to quickly jump back and see what happened to these vills. There we go, they went for a quick run. Oh, it was after the Axa, yeah. So yeah, in the madness of the Axa, the villagers slipped out as well. Off they went. So all 4 of those actually were released. I guess it was the couple of villagers around here who got taken down. Bowmen going to start working their way through this house. And that one surviving axe is now going to finally be taken down. And where are we at now in terms of economy? So it's actually 31 villagers apiece. And Yeti with the slight resource lead in terms of food in the bank. Both players committing to the full tool age at the moment. But we may see a potential bronze age come in if the players can keep their ecos defended. Woodworking in for both players now. I don't know if stone mining came in. No, stone not. Oh, there we go. It's just coming in now for Yeti. And Bongo trying to see if he can cause some damage. He doesn't see the rebuilded storage pits. Obviously, MiniYeti did delete that before. Bongo maybe thinking that possibly Yeti would set up there again, but again, he's a little bit trapped on the edge of the map here. A little bit of micro back and forth. Does manage to dodge a fair bit of the bowman fire. But I think he is going to be forced to fight now, and the numbers advantage for Yeti here. Might be able to pick up a few villagers, and there we go. One does go down, and if he can maybe catch her out a couple more, then this would be considered a good raid for Bongo. Yeah, you can see now the eco slipping slightly in his favour, and the military count is still fairly close as a new wave of bows tries to break through. Just all in on the bowmen. Obviously the Assyrians don't get slingers of their own, so slinger bow composition from MiniYeti. Just that double ranged play, and a new wave of bowmen coming round. So I think 6 slingers is actually maybe not enough to hold this. Obviously there is the actual just the wall to hold as well for the time being. But Bongo now does click to the Bronze Age. It's up 5 villagers. Still going to be, okay, I was going to say a bit of a fight, but it looks like Yeti maybe doesn't want to take the engage, or does he? Maybe just trying to get those slingers in position at the front to tank a few shots. That's kind of one of the good things about the slinger having shorter range, is they do just naturally go to the front when you've got this cluster of units, so they can tank up quite well. Crocodile, unfortunately, doesn't make it in this one. And yeah, MiniYeti a little ways off being able to go to the Bronze Age himself, and I imagine there's some. Oh, okay, actually interesting. Stables and gold being collected, so probably just cavalry out. Yeah, I don't think Assyrians even get camels actually. Yeah, so it's just going to be cavalry out from the onset from the Assyrians. And MiniYeti does click up now. The Assyrians do get the camel, so the Sumerian camels do have the +1 pierce armor. I'm just trying to think if it was just worth going straight in to the Chariot Archer for Bongo. I guess he could go for both units. There's not really anything stopping him from doing that, and maybe just wouldn't have the economy for it. But big army moving in to Yeti's base, but he has plenty of... sorry, onto Bongo's base, but he has plenty of bowmen to clear this up. in the end a pretty one-sided fight there. And now we're in the Bronze Age, cavalry coming out. But we know that MiniYeti is basically completely walled here, and he has been doing his due diligence and walling up behind most of the houses. Could be a potential weakness on the market in the archery range, but should have time to respond. That's interesting, he's decided to wall in front of the gate there. I guess the gate has taken quite a bit of damage, so didn't want to rely on that too heavily. Gold mining coming in, and I imagine it will be, looks like, yeah, going to be camels for MiniYeti. I don't know if he's seen the cavalry yet, he does now. And government centre coming down. Yeah, there they go, the camels in the queue. Plenty of bows still left over for Bongo. It's going to deny the wall from going up, and like I said, it was that market in the archer range, potential weakness in the wall. And that wall, couple of hits, but I think, yeah, this one's only got 2 HP on it. It's not going to take much to break that one down. Unfortunately, we decided to go for the one with slightly more HP, but in we come. And cavalry already out, but camels are ready to hold, although I said I don't think they're going to be able to do too much with the bowmen in support. Bongo needs to probably keep the cavalry with his bowmen, just so he can defend those. We'll see. Damage being done by these Assyrian bows here. And I think MiniYeti is going to be a spot of bother, and GG's just called straight on the spot. And that's a strange game. It was an interesting one. I think MiniYeti, I guess, yeah. I mean, obviously, like I say, the Bone Rush is a Sumerian classic, and I kind of didn't catch that that was the play at first. But like, I mean, yeah, Bongo's actually nowhere near the 500 food here. So the shenanigans were already afoot. I guess he just got enough food off the elephant, and then just, yeah, kept these wheels at bay just to stop them from running in on his TC. And then MiniYeti not really able to get the damage done. And yeah, then Tool Age was clicked there. And the wood line at the back. Well, it wasn't actually collecting wood, that was just on the Gazelle. Yeah, these got moved to wood. And Bongo just had the time to get the barracks laid out. And then there was a little bit of the unfortunate situation of the trapped villagers, which I think that kind of ruined Yeti's forge slightly, because they did get released later on. But yeah, just being without those vills for a while, like I said, he was essentially just down 4 vills for quite some time. And then Bongo just able to put his foot down, sort of, and get a bit more advantage in the Tool Age. And not a huge number of Vill kills, just like a few back and forth. But MiniYeti didn't really push onto Bongo, and he could just slowly add in, creep up ahead on the Vill count. And just to get himself to that Bronze Age that little bit quicker, and then there's cavalry coming in. And like I said, the camels was a good response, but just with this many bowmen still left over from the Tool Age. Obviously there was that little battle, where was it? Sort of around this sort of time, yeah. MiniYeti tried to go for like a sort of a bit of a counter play, but it was tracked the entire time, and then yeah, there's plenty of bows on the back. So then there was the engage. So those Tool Age bowmen actually being quite useful to help support the cavalry with that push, and giving Bongo that nice advantage, winning the game 1 in the series. And so, no, click the wrong button there, bear with me. That will take us back to the... Okay, they have actually gotten straight into the next gate, so I won't mess around too much. And it looks like potentially we have gone to Ocean Ring. I will just quickly do this before I... So Assyrians won up against the Cimmerians. And now we are going to say, I think it's Ocean Ring is the map. I can't actually see the map itself. And we'll just get ourselves straight in. Like I said, they're already in the game, so no messing around. Or maybe a bit less messing around than I was going to do. And yes, indeed, it is Ocean Ring. So we have the Minoan's Mirror for this map. And dock out straight away from Bongo. And obviously, like I say, normally players go for the grab that elephant straight away. And it looks like, in fact, Bongo just pushing the gazelle as well. He does actually have wood for a pit, but maybe he wants to say, okay, there we go. And dock immediately down. Well, not immediately, but a little bit after from MiniYeti. And this is a very unusual spawn for MiniYeti. Both of his wood lines right at the back of his base leaves him completely exposed at the front. I mean, both players are actually relatively exposed. What often happens is, though, is you normally have like a wood line covering your crossing a little bit. So this is quite an unusual spawn here. It's going to be quite difficult to fully block up the front of your base. Obviously, docks can be used to help close off the edge of the house walls. And is either player going to mix it up at all? It doesn't really feel like both players have gone for docks fairly early on, which makes me just feel like this is probably just going to be mostly decided on the water. I think in mirror matches, and especially in water, it tends to be quite snowbally, I find. So it could be possible that one player just gets an advantage, maybe in the early bronze, and then it just kind of snowballs out from there. But I mean, this map does have potential to go with the distance if you can get yourself onto the middle and set up quite nicely. Then just winning the water doesn't automatically win you the game. Yeah, we'll see how this clans up. Both players clicking up to tool. Bongo up a little bit faster. Yeah, he does have more villagers. In fact, yeah, just more eco overall. Obviously, getting to that tool edge a little bit faster does mean that you can get those scout ships out a bit quicker. Bongo is still only on one dock, that said. Normally, it's good to have maybe a couple at least when you hit the tool edge, just so you can get those, like that early pump of scout ships out on the field nice and early. But ooh, I don't know if that villager got spotted actually. But barracks going down for both players, so MiniYeti is trying to cause some mischief. But again, I don't know if those villagers saw each other. And the wall's going up for, yeah, clubbers coming in for MiniYeti, but I think Bongo, I mean, it's a long way to wall, but I think he should have enough time. Like if he needs to like quick wall a couple of sections, he should be okay. And tool age in for both players now. Scout ships coming out first for MiniYeti. So interesting that he went for this kind of forward and then scout ships to follow. Bongo wants to be careful that he doesn't leave that gate open. That would be most unfortunate. Village trapped a little bit on the outside. That wall there needs placing. And obviously these walls here. But yeah, the clubbers not really going to get too much done here. And Bongo only just setting up. Okay, sorry, he does have a second dock down here, so it's actually the third dock going up. But as I said, scout ships were out first for MiniYeti, and fast bronze actually. I hadn't paid attention to that. So Bongo just going straight up to the Bronze Age here. And can this be punished by the early scout ships? He does have one in defense and another two in queue, but potentially Bongo may lose. Yeah, it just feels like he needs to move the fishing boats away. Okay, two ships, yeah, and it took a bit more damage. So yeah, committing a little bit more to making scout ships now. But Yeti is going to be a long way behind in terms of reaching the Bronze Age. Like I said, he committed to sort of this little early AXA rush, which that's 50 food per AXA, plus the AXA tech, plus the 2 pit techs, all of which the Bongo didn't feel the need to invest in, but now Woodline is exposed. And this is the problem: if you don't have control of the early water, you will lose a lot of your shoreline. 7 ships to the 5 at the moment, and like I said, I think villagers there to repair, but Yeti smart takes those out. I think he does have enough scout ships now to hold the position. Did have to abandon this wood line here, but the other one on the other side of the island, easy enough to defend. Barracks looks like it probably will go down here, but War Galley's in. Yeti is up to Bronze Age himself, so potentially he may be able to get up to the Bronze Age before Bongo pushes back himself. I don't think he'll want to push until he has the War Galley upgrade in, choosing to try and chase off these couples of War Galleys here. Archery range came down as well. Obviously you do need 2 buildings to get to the Bronze Age, so it's probably the market and the archery range there. And obviously Minoans usually like to go for the composite bowmen when they do start building on the land. So I think what looked like it could be a little bit of a tricky early game has now just sort of neutralized itself. We get both players into the Bronze Age. War Galley is in now. Actually, we do have a push on the water, but Bongo looks like he moved away most of his fishing eco already. But yeah, they're going to have to go for a run real quick. There's Bronze Age just in now. War Galley, I'm sure, to come in instantaneously. There it is. But that does mean all these fishing boats are idle for the time being. Arsenal shipping straight away, so that's actually going to come in more or less the same time for both players. 11 to 13 in terms of the ship count, and obviously MiniYeti will not want to have any sort of engage anytime soon, so this could be pretty bad for him here. Sort of half of a pincer movement coming in, and as I said, this map with the civs being the same civs can be quite snowbally here. So MiniYeti loses a lot of these ships here. Could be Struggle City, and a couple more ships going to go down, and a lot of damage done as the War Galley upgrade finally comes in, but potentially a little bit too late. Reinforcements in for Yeti, but I think Bongo still has the upper hand here. A little bit of a messy fight now. Might just come down to a little bit of micro from both players. Another couple of reinforcements from Yeti that maybe will save the day now. Looks like the numbers swing just slightly in his favour. It's very back and forth, so maybe this won't be a deciding fight. I mean, you can see here now though 14 as and more ships coming from Bongo, and more buildings coming up on the land from Yeti. So he is going to hold for the time being. But it looks like MiniYeti trying to go into the cavalry with that stable that he just built. His opponent is walled up though, so it's going to take him a little while to crack that. 14 galleys to just the 7, but for this fight here it's still fairly even. HP advantage in the favour of Bongo though. And more ships are coming. Bongo just feels safe to just pull away and then re-engage. Makes sense, makes sense. Dock in the center of the map for Bongo, so it's going to be nice to grab some free fish in there. He's just scouting around with that war galley in a moment, but we'll go back to the fight on the water. And like I said, still sort of the same numbers at the moment, but as soon as Bongo... Well, from our point of view, we can obviously see he has a bit of an advantage. It's always a little bit hard to tell when you're in the game. First TC, or extra TC, coming up from Bongo in the meanwhile. And it's interesting Bongo didn't feel that he was strong enough to take that fight. Like I said, it is a little bit harder, because obviously I can just highlight and see that MiniYeti has the slightly slower count, although the numbers are actually evening up again. Eco numbers are slightly in favour of MiniYeti. So this may just come down to a little bit of the ship micro. It doesn't quite take out that war galley there. And cavalry coming out on the land now. Like I said though, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Neither player fully committing to this fight, although that said, it looks like the engage has happened. Yeti taking a lot of damage here, now does feel forced to back away. And okay, not much actual micro happening here. Just let the boats do what they want to do situation. Reinforcements do come in a little bit quicker for MiniYeti, obviously he's nearer to his base. But yeah, pretty even kills back and forth, but again, just small numbers advantage for Bongo. So we do now see the push on the gate. Villagers are going to be here, maybe just repair. Oh, he didn't lock the gate. Oh, Bongo, big mistake from Bongo there. Oop, and as I accidentally panned to the middle of the map. And the cavalry are in. I don't know how many villagers still left. Oh dear, this could have been... Oh dear, I guess he was sending out the villagers. Yeah, he was. They were intentionally going out there. He wasn't trying to repair the gate. And cavalry chasing. Obviously the cavalry don't have the best of line of sight. They do find the villagers now though. One cavalry being put on, I guess probably, well, he's just attacking the gate. Just make sure it stays open. Gate gets deleted, interestingly. But a lot of villagers gonna get killed here. There are plenty of war galleys in defense actually, so with the wheel in, not as much damage done as I thought might have happened, but still 9 eco kills. And Bongo was looking to be in a pretty solid position. He does have that second TC up now, but now MiniYeti does as well. And surprisingly, Bongo is still ahead on eco, so somehow those cavalry weren't able to quite find the big massive villagers fast enough, and Bongo somehow slightly got away with it. Still cavalry though on the wood line, plinking away. More guys are going to need to be pulled back to deal with this. I'm not sure what Bongo is hesitating for here. Another whole bunch of villagers that probably shouldn't have died have died now. An extra 5 there. And Bongo, yeah, it's just going to be too difficult, I think, to sort of find a safe haven. He's been caught a little bit out here, and yet MiniYeti going for the throw with the war galleys coming in assistance. And yeah, villager kills. Okay, now's the GG, I think. At this point, I think probably too much damage done by these cavalry now. Bongo's still doing a decent job of holding the numbers on the water whilst the wood still flows. But yeah, the second TC now probably going to get taken out. Bongo is trying to swap onto the, well, maybe not swap onto, but get the composite bowman out and running. And it's still going to be a fairly even trade on the water. MiniYeti does actually, for the first time in quite some time, have the advantage in terms of numbers, but I think Bongo actually will win this immediate fight in this vicinity here. Next wave of cavalry does come in though, and this is going to be a whole other wave of villagers going down, and the GG's called. And just the slightest of mistakes by Bongo there being very costly. Like I said, I think those villagers were being just tasked to go out and build something on the map. Because I was thinking maybe they were coming to repair. There we go, just slightly missed the moment there. But yeah, you can see they didn't stop to try and repair, so somehow Bongo just completely missing that. Yeah, I don't know, just a small mistake. Like I said, these initial 3 cavalry coming in, they can't see too much. So they weren't able to get too much damage done initially, but it was more the fact that Bongo was forced to run with the villagers and then just kind of didn't have anywhere to go with them. Like I said, the war galleys kind of helped out a little bit, but then the cavalry just kept sneaking in. And yeah, just too much pressure from too many different angles. Like I said, just a small mistake from Bongo, because I think he got that fast bronze in, got himself set up nicely in the Bronze Age, had a quite, well, not a huge advantage, but a little bit of an advantage going into that early Bronze Age phase, and then just kind of slipped through his fingers in an instant. Can always happen. And so we will take ourselves to game 3 as the series comes back to even at 1-1. And so let's go back to the draft. So we had Yeti's Minoans win up against Bongo's Minoans there. Bongo's first pick was Oasis, and I don't feel like MiniYeti has a particularly good Oasis civ here. Normally things like Yamato, Karth, Persians, just any civ with a very sort of strong early game, just because Oasis tends to be a more open map. And Inland is still in the pool, so maybe Yamato gets saved for that. So maybe we do just see Carthaginians coming out for Bongo. And I'm not really sure what Yeti's pick is going to be, because I don't feel like you'd want to pick these 3. Maybe it is just going to be Macedonians. Potentially MiniYeti should have possibly picked up the Persians at some point just as an Oasis map civ. But we'll see how this pans out, as it looks like we are getting into the next game. And I believe we are on Oasis here, but I will just get ourselves on the map, and I think I have called the civs correctly. Okay, I've not done the correct thing there. I need to actually click this button here, and that will actually send us into the game. There we go. As the civs are going to be the Carthaginians against the Macedonians. And it's actually inland. Inland's actually the map we're on. Okay. So that was weird. I called the civs, but not the map. The funny thing is like if I thought it was going to be inland, I would not have guessed that I would have thought MiniYeti would have used his Phoenicians there, unless Phoenicians is just going to be Yeti's Oasis pick. But this does surprise me. And actually, I think like this is the first inland spawn I've seen in a while where we've actually had the middle river. You always get like these like pockets at the side. You often get like the strip of water at the side. But I feel like it's been a while since I've actually seen the central river between both of the players. There are 3 crossings on this one, so it's going to be virtually impossible to deny your opponent from crossing unless you manage to get like absolute control of the water and just scout ships on every single crossing, but it's going to be quite difficult. Both players, in fact, yeah, but you're quite close to the edge of the map. That can happen sometimes. And actually, not bad storage pit placement there. Can just grab that elephant. Does see his own little pool there. And yeah, MiniYeti does actually have the advantage of having his own little private pool, whereas Bongo sides, obviously there's one big sort of edge of the water, which means any potential fishing boats that do come out are going to be a little bit more vulnerable and have to have a little bit more investment in terms of like defending the ships, whereas it's quite easy for to just plonk down the dock here, fishing boats, and they should be theoretically safe for almost all of the game. Bongo, like I said, on Carthaginians should have... I think this is probably like one of the worst matchups actually for the Macedonians. But yeah, should have a pretty good advantage early on as the Carthaginians, just from having those extra resources. And Mace do get the extra exploration, which does help find those early resources early on. But it wasn't really much of a cold, Jesse. It was more, I don't know, it was just like the heat, and then there was like, it was quite... I don't have like bad hay fever, but like sometimes when it's really heavy pollen, then occasionally it does get me. So yeah, I'm not feeling too bad, thank you very much. It's just, I'm just a bit hot, as I imagine you probably are as well. Pretty warm in the UK. It's supposed to be thunderstorms in the next hour or so. I'm hoping it'll like clear out a bit of the mugginess. But yeah, Doc is going up on the water for MiniYeti, which will delay his tool age time a little bit. As I said before, sometimes I feel like it's better to get your tool age click in on maps like Inland, sorry, and then think about putting your docks down on the way up to the tool age, just in case your opponent goes for some early sort of rush, which you can still do. Bongo doesn't look like he's going for any sort of aggressive play just yet. That said, I now do spot my little beady eyes, the forward villager. Bongo nowhere near really actually able to click, so we're going to have a little bit of idle TC time. But like I said, MiniYeti, with adding in the extra dock and a couple of fishing boats, is definitely going to delay his uptime for sure. And with the addition of the artifact, I feel like Bongo probably will be able to find his opponent fairly soon. I think the artifact's going to find that house, which might throw him off a little bit. The house does spot the artifact. Villager goes and caps the artifact. And now MiniYeti smells the forward. Artifact maybe tipping off a little bit there. And barracks maybe will go up. Yeah, so the villager may die, but the barracks is up. And MiniYeti, like I said, going to be much slower. 2 minutes of idle TC time. Obviously, that's made up for a little bit with the fishing boats. But Bongo going to be up to the tool age much earlier. And yeah, you're trying to house wall in the barracks. I think this is a little bit of a fool's errand, as it's going to, you have to build a lot of houses for this to work. I guess it could work in the long run, but like I said, I think this may be a little bit of a mistake, really. I guess obviously the houses are still doing the actual job of being a house. But yeah, I think that's a little bit of a mistake by MiniYeti there. Clubbers are in. Obviously, villagers can fight up back against clubbers in numbers. But now it's going to be the addition of the leather armor coming in. And Bongo hasn't had chance to put down a second barracks just yet. Does have quite a lot of wooden bank. I guess maybe he was thinking the forward villager would build, and maybe, and it still has it, but yeah, it's on the run. And this clubman's going to get boned down before the armor comes in. And it's always good to see players punish the early clubs before those upgrades do come in, because I feel like sometimes people play a bit too scared of the clubbers. They just like think, oh, clubber, my villager can't beat that, but it's like, well, just two villagers easily beat a clubber. But obviously the more experienced players know that. Leather armor in is going to mean that Bongo handily wins this trade. So I think the fact that the second military building didn't come up for Bongo there is going to mean that this early rush probably isn't going to cause too much more damage than it already has done. Obviously, there's 2 eco kills have happened there for the 1 in trade. Clubbers are being a bit nuisance, but yeah, needlework is in now, so these clubbers virtually useless. And we're just garrisoning that 1 low HP Vil away. And now, so where does that leave us? So, slight villager lead for Bongo, but not too far behind overall, just because MiniYeti did commit to the water much earlier. And Bongo is trying to block off the crossing now. I think he has seen that there is another crossing here. And obviously we know that there is a third crossing as well. Like I said, the game has seemed to have stabilized. And so the initial advantage that Carthaginians have has now kind of faded away now, just the extra bonus for starting resources. But as I talked about in my video, talking about all the civs in the current patch, the Carthaginians do get a lot of pretty crazy military bonuses if we do get to the Bronze Age. And we'll see if that will be the case. I feel like that's where this game is going to be heading now, just because we have the fish boom as well. And yeah, Yeti's just going to get rid of forward barracks, but yeah, so there is the walls. But it'd be interesting to see if anyone does find the crossing over here. Obviously, if you just click over here, then your units would find it for you. But what's MiniYeti seen of the map yet? So he actually only knows of that there is this one crossing here at the moment. But yeah, I feel like the point I was trying to get to is I think Bongo is going to be fairly safe for him to get the food he needs to get to bronze and just click up. So like I said, I think this will be just going to the Bronze Age now. Units are starting to come forward, and they will just find the crossing here. Potentially a few villagers could get caught out if Bongo just doesn't pay attention, but he does actually pull those villagers. Okay, the fish ran out, so that's actually maybe a little bit of luckiness there. And the units, for a second there, I thought they were going to go around the edge, and that was not the case. Okay, now Bongo does find the third crossing. So they have all been blocked now. And how many axes did he have? He does have 4 axes in this slinger, so it wouldn't take him a ridiculously long time to break through that gate. It would take him a little while. But yeah, Bronze Age is in for Bongo now, and he does have just a small eco lead. Like I said, MiniYeti get himself out on the fishing a lot quicker. There's plenty of shore fish in there as well. Yeah, still over 4k worth of food there. A couple of scout ships have come out, so this dock is going to get denied, and hopefully MiniYeti deletes that, and he does so he doesn't waste the resources. Does lose the villager in the process, but like I said, the big advantage Yeti does have here is this fisher eco is extremely safe. Forward villagers going to get caught out here though, and these were the 4 villagers that were fishing before, so interesting. I'm not really sure what they were trying to do coming forward. They're going to get caught out here though. I should imagine that all of these villagers go down. Like I said, these villagers are quicker, and actually the scout ships may be able to save the vills here. And MiniYeti maybe should give up the chase. Like I said, the villagers are just very slightly faster than the military units. And yeah, just going to be a couple of axes being lost there. War galley coming in straight away from Bongo, and some cavalry as well. And like I said, Carthaginians get quite a few bonuses in the Bronze Age. One is that they just get the free nobility as soon as they built the government centre. I don't see a government centre just yet, but I imagine that will come down at some point. And yeah, Bongo just pressurising on the water, which, like I said, is a very good way of getting control of the crossings. And another, it's always interesting to see you can cross over that little thing with boats, as you can see there. So this dock here, maybe not going to get too much done for Yeti. Yeah, Bongo spotting this out, sorry. And what does MiniYeti do at this point here? The Macedonians don't have the best. Well, they have a few advantages. Again, they have a few military bonuses they have of themselves in the Bronze Age, but I just don't feel like their units match up very well into the Carthaginian units. So it may just be the composite bowman is going to have to be the unit of choice for MiniYeti. as first cavalry comes forward. And yeah, like I said, Bongo with the control of the crossings, these docks just gonna ultimately be a little bit of a waste of wood for Yeti. Villager does get caught out. And what do we see? Government centre and a stable. But Macedonians don't get nobility themselves. I'm pretty sure they don't get camel either. So interesting to see the stable coming. Oh no, it's probably just stable so you can construct academies, I guess. But then again, the Carthaginian academy is just better than the Macedonian one. Town centre. No, it's composite bowmen coming out. Why did we build a stable then? What was that for? A little bit confuddled by that one. Yeah, these cavalry should be able to just sweep up the tool age units left over. Both players adding in TCs now. But it feels like eco is still close, but you can see in military count, there's just no military to be had. Obviously improved bowman research now should see some bows being created. Although we're still in one archery range. I'm still very confused by this stable. Can anyone explain this stable to me? Has anyone got any ideas about that? Fish still plenty left. And cavalry kind of just chilling for the time being. But you can see it just feels like Bongo's just taking complete control of the map now. And it's not, well, points lead says it's very in favour of Bongo. Urbanisation just coming in to free up some pop space for Yeti. But yeah, I don't really know what Yeti can do at this point. I feel like Carthaginians just outmatch the Macedonians. Again. I feel like Compis is the only play, not just the best play. I feel like Mace... Why do you prefer Mace? Can't Bongo just go Centurion and then, yeah, you can't do anything? I think that's not true. I'm pretty sure Carthaginians beat Macedonian ones. Yeah, but Carthaginian Centurions have 25% extra HP. Interesting. I mean, I haven't run the numbers on it, but I'm fairly sure the Carthaginian Centurions are just stronger. But anyway, just keeping our eyes on the game. Both players clicking up to Iron Age about the same time, actually. Like I said, they've had that about 3 eco lead for Bongo pretty much this whole game. But again, Bongo, much greater control of the map, which means he has much better control of the gold. Both of these civs are gold civs, neither with access to any of the chariot units. And we are going to see the transition into the academies. I mean, it could just be a matter of who can get the most units on the field. Obviously, Bongo has the military advantage for the time being. As the archery range does get changed now. So it's, I'm just being a little bit confused by MiniYeti's players, because he built the stable, which I guess now is for the academies, but then he researched improved bowmen, and then I just didn't commit to the improved bow. But yeah, like I said, both players are committing to the academies, and so we are going to see those units face off against each other here. And a little bit, okay, the eco lead has exploded in the favour of Bongo now, I guess. Yeah, just Bongo with more docks and fishing ship. Yeah, you can see 49 fishing ships now. Whereas, yeah, MiniYeti tried to expand his fishing economy but got denied, as Bongo has complete control the water. So Iron Age coming in from both players more or less at the same time. Interesting that medium walls are coming in straight away from Bongo. Phalangite in for both players, and Aristocracy as well. Trireme is actually also being researched by Bongo, which again interests me. Okay, because it feels like he already has full control of the water, so I wouldn't have thought that was necessary, but maybe just make sure he has the tech if he needs it, if something did go awry. And this, I don't know if there is actually shallow underneath that dock. So potentially he could work his way through the dock there, but he is going to try and go through the wall. And MiniYeti, like I said, just doesn't have the units in play at the moment. So at the moment it's just a huge numbers advantage for Bongo. War's trying to go up behind this, and Middle War has been researched for Yeti as well. And enough resources to get units pumping. Yeah, not quite that many on the field just yet. More techs coming out for Bongo. So we have +2, +4, about to be +4, +4. Phalangite flanking around. This catapult's going to get absolutely flattened. Does get a reasonable hit in there, but down it goes. And Trireme, like I said, is in now, but probably not really going to be a factor here. Bongo trying to chew his way through. And Iron Age techs not, well, +2 is in now, and Metallurgy following. Neither player able to afford Centurion just yet. And the numbers, I think it's a little bit deceiving because there's 10 Triremes. MiniYeti still just holding on. Catapult does come through now, though, but I think, yeah, Catapult just immediately going to get flattened again. And numbers, you can just see how much resources Bongo has in the bank. Like I said, he just had complete map control. And there was an attempt at the crossing there, actually. So actually the Triremes are coming in a little bit clutch. That Trireme is going to get speared down, though. And Triremes probably want to be pulled to the crossing here. But we are maybe going to break in on the top side at the same time. Action on 2 points of the map. A little bit of a battle in the middle. Just more numbers from MiniYeti. It's going to win the initial engage. Some reinforcements coming in for Bongo. It's going to be a fairly even fight, but I think Bongo has a slight uphill advantage from the slope. But that said, looks like actually Yeti able to snowball that fight through in the end. And actually slight numbers advantage on the Phalangite for the time being. A lot of gold in the bank for Takeaway. Try and maybe get some more villagers off wood onto food. And it looks like he's going to be able to get the Centurion upgrade in fairly soon. In fact, it's already been researched. Somehow I didn't see that. And I think that's probably going to be the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. Unless MiniYeti can get a really big engage here. Huge numbers advantage in favour of Bongo, and I think this is probably going to be the GG. Too many losses from MiniYeti in that fight. Centurion about to come in now. And yeah, MiniYeti just not able to get the resources he needs. And yeah, GG called as soon as the Centurion upgrade comes in. And that's going to be 2-1. And I'm going to make a note to myself to check whether or not the Cath sense win or not. Because that's something I should know for future reference. But yeah, 2-1 for Bongo. And like I said, it just felt like Bongo just had the upper hand for most of that game. Like I said, the initial rush didn't get too much damage done. I think because it kind of got a little bit spotted out by Yeti, so he had a chance to respond. And the initial villager didn't get that second military building down, so it was just a single barracks, which a single barracks isn't too hard to deal with. There we go, that's the villager getting bonked on the back of the head. But that said, Bongo was never touched at home himself, and let them just build up a little bit of advantage. Like I said, it wasn't huge. It was like just a small eco lead for most of the game. Well, actually, he's actually slightly behind at this point here. But yeah, just got himself control of those crossings and control of pretty much all the maps. I think this war galley is coming out, and yeah, like I said, denying this pool to Yeti kind of just meant Yeti was kind of pinned in this section of the map here, and then like I said, Bongo just had free reign to everything on the map. So even if Yeti did survive a little bit longer, most of the gold on the map would have been in Bongo's pockets. So 2-1, advantage Bongo at this point here. See if Yeti can fight back again and bring it to even. Yeah, that's a good question. That is a very good question. I guess he just thinks Mace is maybe just a little bit better in the very early game just because the extra exploration, but I feel like apart from that, the Greeks are just pretty much just better all around. Well, maybe not all around because the Greeks, apart from there, in terms of like in all phases of the game, obviously they already have like good academy units, so their other units are pretty bad for the Greeks. Yeah. Well, I just mean because like the barracks and the stable and the archery range for Greeks are all pretty bad. But yeah, in terms of like, I think they're a bit stronger in all phases of the game after the very initial early game than the Macedonians. So yeah, they are again quickly into the next game. So I will just quickly update the draft thing here. So we did see the Carthaginians win up against the Macedonians, and that likely means we've gone to inside out now, but I'm not 100% sure, so we'll just jump straight into the game. Persian sense, yeah. I reckon they do pretty well. So it is inside out, and we do see the Hittites against the Egyptians. The question is, Jesse, what wins, the Persian centurion or the Macedonian priest? Well, it's just really old school balance, right? And as the very initial age, the very original Age of Empires 1 balancing and like tech trees and stuff were just bonkers. So like obviously with the power of nearly 30 years of hindsight, we can say that that probably wasn't the best of design decisions. But like I said, it's easy for us to say now. Yeah, we're playing on the community, Rise of the Ancients community patch. Yeah, Mace, I feel like just in the original version of the game are just like not even a civilization. It's like actually ridiculous how poor they were in the original game. Like at least Persians had the hunt bonus, right? I guess the Mace extra line of sight is actually, like I was talking about this with Jesse when we had him on, the line of sight bonus actually feels a lot stronger in the original game because you don't have, like in Return of Rome, you can see where your berries are straight away, so it's not as big of a deal. So the Mace bonus is a little bit stronger in early versions of the game, but like obviously just the tech tree holes were just so bad. But anyway, to focus on the current game now, like I said, we're on Inside Out, and we do have our Hittites and Egyptians, which is always well, a close matchup on these closed maps. And we do have the double forward berries for Yeti, so that's very unfortunate for him going into potentially the final game of the series if you can't bring this back. So yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, just the one berries forward for Bongo. Does have the extra one tucked away a little bit strangely at the side there, so it's going to be a little bit difficult for Bongo to find. But yeah, it does mean that he's probably going to be forced onto farms earlier than he otherwise would have liked. Pit does come out on the wood line there. And interesting 20 pop up from Bongo. I was going to say Hittite's not really capable of doing anything too crazy in the early game because they don't have this, the sling. But potentially Bongo is going to try and do something in this earlier phase. Yeah, you can see the more usual 23 vills into clicking up with only 4 seconds idle TC time from Yeti, just going, attempting to go for that fast bronze. But yeah, we are going to see the barracks come out forward from Bongo. Egyptian's not the strongest of civs at the very start of the game, but we'll see how this pans out. I presume we're going to have a second barracks, perhaps, and there it is. And is this just going to be straight into slingers? And one clubber does come out. And obviously the tool edge coming in for Bongo is a little bit of a hint of what's to come potentially for Yeti. 2 villagers, I think, just getting ready to probably place down a range and a market. Waiting for that tool edge to come in. A little bit early to the punch there. Actually a third barracks coming in now, so Bongo committing to this forward play. And yeah, archery range and a market, and there we go. There's actually some more gap in there. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite him. And yeah, I'm not sure if this is a mistake by Bongo here. Like I said, just because the Egyptians just aren't the strongest of civs in this early phase, so their rushes aren't too menacing. And it feels like it's taken a while for Bongo to get units on the field, and yeah, he's about to click up. There he goes. Only 18 seconds idle TC time, added in just the singular extra villager. That said, Yeti may want to get a stable down just so that he can get some units out to just deal with the tool age army. So obviously chariots going to be what he wants to go for. Actually, no, Hittite. Yeah, Hittites, you can just go straight to the chariot archer. They can still beat slingers, can't they? I was thinking normal chariot archers in very low numbers do struggle a little bit into slingers. I think that might be a bit of a mistake walling out the archery range, but shouldn't get taken down too quickly. But yeah, double walls more or less in, and Bongo's going to take far too long to get through this wall to get too much down. I say that actually, there's only a single wall here. We do have a good number of slingers now. Yeah, like I said, I feel like I would have liked to have seen Yeti put down a stable and then maybe just try and get out a couple of early cavalry units just to give him a little bit more of a front line. For the time being, though, he's just trying to wall up behind there. We're still only on a single archery range as well. We've got 800 wood in the bank for Yeti. Siege Workshop going to be the first response. And that's an interesting call. War wheel finally being clicked now. I mean, if he can hold until he gets the stone throw out, then obviously the stone throw is going to have an absolute field day, clearing up those tool age units. So maybe not the worst play I've ever seen, but not the one I would have expected. But yeah, like I said, you need gold for the stone throwers anyway, so like I said, I would have just preferred to see a stable and just like I said, even just like 3 or 4 cav and that's it, and then just start switching back into your cavalry archers. MiniYeti on 0 food. Like I said, maybe this is the point where the lack of berries at the back of his base Like, yeah, you see, he went for some exploration. No berries to be found. It's kind of interesting that Bongo didn't find his berries here. He's actually gone out into the open ground after being the aggressor. And actually, this siege workshop potentially might get taken down before the stone thrower even comes out. 4 villagers repairing. 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Oh my god, that was close. Oh, Yeti getting away with absolute murder there. No, I think that would have just been GG on the spot. Oh my god, that was absolutely ridiculous. Oh, I think that... Oh, jeez. I don't know what to say about that. That was like 2 HP? 2 HP when the stone thrower came out? That, I mean, yeah, I think that was literally GG on the spot if that stone thrower didn't come out. He's just trying to put a little siege workshop down. we do see the first chariot archer come out. And Bongo does have a very big eco lead now. And he's working himself up towards clicking bronze. This one stone thrower, though, holding the line like an absolute beast. The thing is, like, Bongo... Ah, man, yeah. What a crazy moment that was. Staggered formation for the slingers. I don't feel like this is a fight you want to enter into, though. That's a lot of slinger hits you have to get off to kill a stone thrower. Well, I think probably for Bongo, he's probably going to want to put down just a stable and just go for chariot, regular chariot, for the time being. I think just the Egyptian just melee chariot is probably the go-to unit here. Slingers trying to get something done. I mean, they're going to be able to close down the stone thrower, but the Hittite chariots do 2 damage to slingers, so we'll be able to clear this up, I think. Stone thrower does go down, though. Ooh, one last hit just before the end. Another TC coming out now, but yeah, Yeti. Early Bronze Age hasn't been the cleanest. A little bit pressured. Like I said, very lucky for that stone thrower to come out. And Bronze Age is in now. Interesting to see that Bongo's still making slingers. Like I said, I feel like once you're into the Bronze Age, the slinger is basically useless, especially into the Hittites, where the slingers do take the 2 damage instead of just the 1. That said, still only 3 chariots on the field, 4th just coming out now. And yeah, production has stopped of the slingers. And I would like to see, like I said, he's just going for archer ranges. I would like to have seen just the regular chariot coming out from Bongo here, and then you can follow that up with chariot archers of your own. I feel like if you're going just chariot archer versus chariot archer, you're asking for a little bit of trouble against the Hittites. But yeah, like I said, getting not with the cleanest of Bronze Ages so far, and Bongo does have a slight eco edge. And all these farms, much cheaper for the Egyptians as well, so just that extra wood, I mean, a lot of extra wood floating for Bongo. Like I said, just needs to get some more farms down again. And yeah, just the remnants of the slingers just being cleared up here. To be fair, if the slingers get any damage in now, that's good damage done. But yeah, still only the 4 chariot archers, as yeah, he's still trying to get his eco like back under control. A few idle villagers on the wood line there. Extra town centres coming down for Bongo. So this possibly just could come down to the yeah, just sort of the cleaner entry into the Bronze Age for Bongo with the better setup eco, but like I said, you can never count out those chariot archers from the Hittites. And I don't think artisanship is in for either player just yet. No, it's not. And that could be pretty vital. Also, nobility is available for both of these civs. which can swing the power in one player's favour if you do get that advantage for a short amount of time. But yeah, eco advantage, 7 villagers ahead for Bongo. And yeah, resources just very tight for Yeti at the moment. Siege Workshop coming up again, and there we go, Artisanship coming in now for Bongo. It's going to give him that range advantage for a short time at least, as well as just the faster working Lumberjacks and Lumberjills. Gonna have a little bit of an engage here. So Slingers being in the mix could make this a little bit. I think the Slingers are just focusing the gate though. But Yeti able to kite that fairly well back and forth. So yeah, there's a little bit of a choke point between these trees and the archery range. It's going to make any engage a little bit awkward. Siege Workshop is coming out now for Bongo. He needs to be careful he doesn't just instantly lose control of that though. And we are 80, yeah, nobility as well. So yeah, Bongo able to get those upgrades in before his opponent, and that is going to give him a nice advantage. Stone thrower out on the field for Yeti now. And what's going on around here? Just a couple of chariots chilling, not doing too much for the time being. Eco lead still, yeah, around 7 villagers. Another Slinger gets caught off. More chariots for the time being, although another flood of chariots comes forward. Ooh, slight misplacement of the chariots for Bongo there. He's going to take a few hits. Slinger's going to get some okay shots in though. I think he do get taken down, so finally all those units away. But yeah, another bonus obviously for the Hittites is the extra HP on those stone throwers. So if both players are just going to go Chariot Archer, Stone Thrower combination, then again you're going to favour the Hittites in that situation. But again, Bongo just with stronger eco. Finally, Artisanship coming in for Yeti. Potentially a big hit from the Stone Thrower there. Does catch out a couple of chariots there. It's getting very much in the balance. Reinforcements coming in. I think Yeti's going to be forced to go back. There's a lot of low HP chariots there. The other advantage, of course, is with the +1 in attack on the chariots, is they're much easier at taking out your opponent's Stone Throwers, as well as just having the higher HP of your own. And yeah, you're feeling confident with the Stone Thrower in the back. Yes, Bongo just has to be very careful not to take a hit. 2 Stone Throwers on the field now, and finally we see the chariot come in. I would have liked, like I said, I would have liked to see that come out much earlier from Bongo. And this is the one big advantage Egyptians have in this matchup, is just that much stronger, just regular chariot. Bongo just forcing onto the catapult, the Stone Thrower I should say, using the weakness of the minimum range to his advantage. So those 2 threats are out of the way, and now he can focus his army on his opponent. Still no nobility in. There we go, it's clicked now for MiniYeti. So I think, in terms of just raw power, you can actually just see the HP advantage there. Obviously, the Hittites doing a bit more damage per shot, but with the more units on the field for Bongo. And like I said, I think these chariots can be the difference maker here. So it's nice to see Bongo putting that unit into effect. A couple of villagers going to get caught out here. And in fact, yeah, whilst I haven't been paying attention, the eco lead is absolutely boomed up in Bongo's favour. I'm not sure what word I was looking for there, but I wasn't finding it. Yeah, the chariot's going forward. Going to be able to easily tank a bunch of the shots. And yeah, it just acts as a meat shield to cut through the front line, and that's going to force MiniYeti back inside the walls. And now MiniYeti going to be forced into a difficult situation. Watchtower coming down out as well now. Is this a Siege Workshop? It is coming out for Bongo. So just trying to get push through again. Needs to be a little bit careful with the stone thrower at the back. Maybe it might be worth Bongo trying to get some priests out just to try and use those to snipe convert the stone throwers. And that is a little bit tough though, and there's so many chariot archers on the field. It could be a very risky play. So just going to try and build the stone throwers. Tower's going to go up. And actually, one of the bonuses don't get talked about much about the Hittites is their team bonuses that towers give +5 population space. Doesn't usually make much difference, but it's kind of a small saving of wood. And we see a little bit of an engage again. Cap hole missing. Chariot's just trying to get in on the stone throw, and down it goes. Like I said, I think MiniYeti just not really able to push out this base at the moment. There is another stone thrower in queue. And watchtower being researched for Bongo as well. And we see a little bit of a fight back and forth, but no real commitment from either player just yet, feels. Ooh, stone thrower going, yeah, that's very wide actually. But okay, yeah, just need to be very careful. Like I said, the stone throwers are a lot easier for the Hittites to snipe with their chariots. We are going to see a big fight now. Stone thrower trying to just get in position for Yeti. Going to get the shot off. Does take down a handful of chariot archers with him, but again, fairly even kills back and forth. Bongo again extending that eco lead though. And MiniYeti right on the limit for resources. So yeah, he's going to have to get something miraculous done here. And yeah, finally the numbers starting to dwindle. Again, both players down to the lower count. Stone throwers feel like they're finally getting purchased for Bongo though. And it's clustering together, 15 to the 18, plus the 4 regular chariots, like I said, just forming that bit of a front line, and GG just called by Yeti there, and that is the 3-1. I wasn't quite expecting that to be called GG straight away. I feel like Bongo was definitely in the much better position there, just because he had the eco lead that whole game. And Yeti just, I don't know, a little bit of a panicked response, I feel, in that early Bronze Age. We can go back to that highlight moment. Yeah, well, like I said, I would have much preferred to have seen the stable come down and just a handful of cavalry, like I said, just to clear up the slingers. And this was the moment. Go slow mode. Half speed, boys and girls. 23, 22. Am I able to get it? 8, 7, 6, 4, 2, came out on 2 HP. Yeah, that's a good point. Also, yeah, way forward. But yeah, like I said, I think I would have preferred to see the cavalry come out, because those cost gold as well. I guess, yeah, like I said, the unfortunate thing was both his berries were forward, and that like just forced the early farm transition, and the Hittites don't have the strongest of economies in the early game. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, like, if that went down, it was just GG on the spot. But yeah, that gave Yeti a lifeline. But yeah, like I said, well, yeah, I guess maybe it just did come down to both his berries being forward in the end, because it just meant Yeti was struggling to get the food resource in. Couldn't really take too much advantage of being in the Bronze Age first. Like I said, the Egyptians, just with that nice cheaper farm bonus, easily able to set their economy up. And even though Bongo got to the Bronze Age much slower, yet he just didn't have the eco to form any sort of aggression in the earlier phases of the Bronze Age. And there were some fairly close fights back and forth, but in the end, I think it was just the the economy edge for Bongo just meant that even though the trades were going fairly evenly, even trades weren't really good enough for what MiniYeti needed there. Needed much more winning fights. So yeah, GG's to TakeawayBongo. He will advance to the winners final. So Bongo is now guaranteed top 3 in the Earth to Iron. And Yeti will drop down to the losers bracket, so he still has a chance to make his way back through. So it's not all doom and gloom for him. But like I said, well played to Bongo in this series.